Hi, I'm trying a slightly new format. I'm going to do a Tuesday to Tuesday vlog of what I've been up to on the plot, one thing each day. All the things I'm up to are either going to be here at the house or up at the allotment. Obviously they're the only two places I am at the moment because we are in lockdown. The allotment is only a 3-minute walk from here. We are all being very sensible up there and staying well away from each other, the few of us that are actually up there. Obviously my mum and I live together, so that's not a danger of, we don't need to social distance from each other. So these videos are going to run Tuesday to Tuesday every week with a release on the Tuesday afternoon. If you are interested in following along, please hit the subscribe button and you'll get a little ding when the new one's released. So I best get on with it really. Well, it's about 5:30 on Tuesday evening. The sun is still shining, the sky's still blue. I'm having a gin and tonic. And I'm about to pot up the brassicas. I've got Cavallonero, kohlrabi and tree cabbage to pot up. These are a little bit leggy, these seedlings, so I'm going to put them into the soil up to their seed leaves. So this is a true leaf on top and the two below that are rounded are seed leaves. I'm going to use a spoon to scoop it out because they're in these shared trays. I want to take as much of its root and soil with it while not disturbing the others. So I've already made quite a deep hole in this little pot here. So just up to where the joint of the leaves are will be the level of my soil. See, so the leaves are still sticking out the top. One downside of using these trays is that you get some seedlings that look really good and then you get other ones like this, but you can't really just leave them to carry on, so I will just pot it up anyway and see what happens. We have bought the brassicas that I potted up yesterday in the garden up, so they are just going to harden off in the cold frame. I'm going to join the leeks. One of the big jobs we're doing this week is doing a big compost shift. We operate a 3-bin system here where we have the new compost put into one, that rots down, then we transfer it into the next bed, so it essentially gets turned in that time, and then when it's ready we sift it and put it into the third bed. So this is the bin that we've been filling so far this year, and this is the one we're going to turn it into. When it's been in there a long time and compressing, it really compacted. Because when we're laying the compost in, we do it in sort of a series of layers, including bits of cardboard, and if we've got anything a bit gnarly like the dahlia stems, they go in layers. When we do this sort of turning of the compost, it really just mixes it all up and gives us a really nice even compost. day is it? Thursday. It's Thursday afternoon. It's absolutely boiling hot, and I have quite miraculously managed to find the hole in the pond liner for quite a long time. It's been about 4 or 5 inches below the level it should be, and I found it. So I have just, there's my stick. I've just filled it with pond sealant, and now I'm filling up the pond, which is really lovely. Okay, you can see, so I've already started filling it up, but you can see how low it's been. It's really sticking out. All the tubs that the plants are sitting in are out of the water. We've got so many fish in here. We didn't put the fish in there, so I'm not entirely sure where they came from. And we've got this lovely stuff. I mean, at the moment it's really difficult to get out because it's like slime, but it will kind of grow into a mass that we can scoop out later. Hi, it's Friday morning. It's already 18 degrees up at the allotment, and it's only 10:30, 11. First thing to tell you is that I've come back in the morning and the pond is still full, so that bodes well for the repair job. Ooh. This morning my main job is I'm going to be sowing spinach and chard. I'm not going to put them in the same bed because the spinach prefers a little bit more shade and the chard can cope with full sun. At the end of our beds we're growing the beans up arches this year, which well, we started it last year, but we're going to do all of the beans up arches this year. And we don't have any shade on our plot for in the midsummer. The sun goes behind the trees at about sort of 3:30, 4 o'clock, so for the full morning and the hottest part of the day the whole plot's in sun. So putting the beans up the arches just saves space in the beds themselves and also provides a little bit of sun protection. So I'm going to be putting the spinach in the bed on this side of me at the moment, and I'm going to put the chard in the bed on that side of me. I absolutely love spinach and chard, and so this year I'm sowing 9 varieties. I'll take you through them in just a second. But I'm also trying out 2 different methods of sowing. I'm going to be doing each of the 9 varieties, one line sowed straight into the soil and another load grown in cells at home and then transplanted, and just to see if it makes any difference. Some years I go straight into the soil, some years I go in seed trays in the greenhouse, and it would just be nice to do 1 year where we do both across a range of varieties and be able to see sort of immediately in the same growing conditions how they compare. So the varieties I'm doing, we've got a Manopa spinach, Madania spinach, so I'm trying not to tip them out the bottom, Madania. We're doing an American spinach. We grew some of these over winter and they're just coming into their own at the moment. They look absolutely fantastic. Also the Bietta, definitely chard, but it's a really thin-stemmed chard rather than the really fat ones. And I've also just got your bog standard perpetual spinach. So they're all going in the bed on that side. On this side, there's the Bietta. There's also Ford Hook Giant, Bright Lights, which is your classic rainbow chard, and one that is called White Silver. So I started the ones off that are in the house about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. So that's the ones I've already got going. Now I'm going to put the ones straight into the soil. Our beds are going to need a little bit of preparation because we essentially run on a no-dig method here. But the compost that we've put on in a big old whack is it's quite rough. So I'm going to lay out my lines and then create a drill and fill it with a mixture of our own compost heap compost, and sieved soil, just to give the seeds something to start off in. So that's the spinach done. Now I'm going to do the chard. So there we go. I've left the really wide gaps between them so that we can put the ones that I've got sown at home in, and watch this space to see how well they do. Good morning. It is Saturday, another beautiful sunny day. I'm at home today. Well, I'm at home this morning anyway. I'm going to be potting on the chilies. I'm going to use the same mix as I used for the brassicas earlier in the week, which is just mixed in this bucket here, but I can't get the lid off. There we go. So I'm just going to carry on doing that really. The chilies that I've got had a load of trouble with germination this year for some reason, which was odd. Ended up putting them on the radiator and it did work. But we've got a hot lemon, orange habaneros. This is the willy chili. That is a sort of competition on Instagram at the moment to see who can grow the most willy shaped chili. So that's my entry, a bit small at the moment. I've got a Romano pepper here, you know, just a long sweet pepper. And another sweet pepper is, I've got frig pep written on it. I don't think that's what it's actually called, but I'll look that up. I do have some other chilies that are going, but they are in a tray with some tomatoes, so I'm not going to pop them up just yet. Okay, if you are potting up, say, from a pot this size into a pot this size where they easily fit into each other, if you fill this pot up, you've got a pot the same size.
This is a really fantastic tip, by the way, if you are potting up window boxes, lots of small pots, particularly en masse, like doing a pub garden or something. You push the pot size into there, so you've got your indent, so that will just sit in there. And just take my label out. The plant has to be quite wet for this to work. If the soil's really dry, which they shouldn't be anyway, but it won't come out in one plug. And it just pops straight in, and you know you've got exactly the right size hole and there's not too much messing around with it. No damage, just straight in. And don't forget to transfer over the label. So that's that potted up. Okay, I'm really lucky that I filmed which one of these two chaps was my Willy Chili Challenge chili, because I've got a bit overexcited and potted them up, and now I've got two labels and I don't know which one is which, so I'm going to have to look back at the footage and try and identify them. This is a Peruvian white. Sounds very exciting. The hot lemon were actually from saved seed this year. I had much better germination rates with my saved seed than I did the bought seed, so I'll probably do a lot more of that next year. Okay, I've just scrolled back and I've identified the Willy Chili. Panic over. Happy Easter! It is Easter Sunday. I thought the plot was going to be way more busy than it is actually, so that's a pleasant surprise. It's quite quiet up here this morning. I have got two things to do really while I'm up here today. So first thing I'm going to do is clear the, these are the calyx. I'm going to clear them out. Well, they've finished basically, but all of this is still edible. I'm going to plant out these spring onions that I sowed in mid-February. I've got White Lisbon and Lilia. I've never grown White Lisbon before, but I do Lilia every year. It's the most fantastic purple spring onion. I just harvested the last of last year's ones about a week ago actually, so I'll just show you the picture now. They're pretty good, aren't they? Most of this top stuff is actually edible. There's just a lot of gnarly and there's no point taking that home. I mean, nobody wants to eat that. And there are actually still some perfectly good calyx on there, so I'll take all them off as well. We'll take this whole head home. And then take the good bits off here. By the end there's actually quite a lot in here. That'll probably do 3 meals. I've got the carrots up that end, and they need to be covered for carrot root fly, and the spring onions need to be covered for allium leaf miner that we've got. I do have a bed of leeks and garlic up that end, but I'm going to succession sow these, and because they both need to be covered I'm going to put them in the same bed. actually only do this first set sown indoors like this because all the rest of them I'm just going to direct sow. I only sowed them indoors really to give them a bit of a head start to get the season started off earlier. So I'm going to start with the white Lisbon. They've actually been in these pots for quite a long time, like I say, since sort of sitting on something hard there, sorry. Like I say, since mid-February. So they're quite large. Sort of each one's like this. One downside of growing in these, although they're really convenient, when it comes to pricking them out, they do have their roots entangled, whereas if they're in a single plug you don't have any of that problem, so you just got to be a little bit more careful taking them out.
So when I actually sow these straight into the ground, they won't be as well placed as this. There's no way that spring onions need to be this far apart, but this is the amount I've got and I want 2 rows of them. So when I sow them, they'll be much closer together and I'll just thin them out as I go.
Other than that, the pond is still full, so that's really good. That obviously worked. And that's about where we are. It's the afternoon of Easter Monday. A bit of a dramatic temperature difference from yesterday. It was 25 up here yesterday, and today it's 12. So slightly different. Got my jacket back on, but the sun's still shining, so that's quite nice, but it's really windy. I mentioned earlier in the week that we're growing all of our climbing beans up arches this year. We did the majority of them up arches last year and it was an absolute revelation. It was such a good success. Having the arches means it can go straight over the path, so you're not taking up the space of a bed. It also provides a bit of shade, which is what I was talking about with putting the spinach in the bed behind. And it also makes picking everything easier because everything's just hanging down for you to pick. You don't have to go kind of scrabbling around in there. So the arches that we have been using are a mixture of the infamous £7 Wilko arches and one similar construction but not quite so wildly bendy. But actually we've been putting them in pairs, so 2 across the end of each bed, and I've been bolstering them so the moment I put them up they're all kind of skew whiff and bending all over the place, and I just used bamboo canes to tie them in so that they kept their shape. It's really helped with the strength. Also a couple going into the ground, so I did that in the first year we put them up, which was last year. This year I'm going to use some of the broken poles from the polytunnel disaster just to hammer them in and give them that bit more strength, because they're pretty robust. With the 2 frames they're quite robust, but they do tend to, when they've got the whole weight of the beans on them, they do tend to sort of sway around. So that's what I'm going to do today. I've also got another arch to build to join with one that we've got on its own up the end. So I'll just show you what I'm doing really. If you put your foot right in the centre here and push down, it can snap the bar. I mean, these are not the most substantial frames. You want to get it right down to the level. If you're joining two frames together, they need to be at the same point in the ground so that your bamboo canes go straight across. So once they're on, they form quite a good strong structure actually. That's the 3 of them ready now. We'll have all of the beans going up there this year. Whew, it is blowing a gale and it's actually quite freezing. So I've got the arch up and I've supported the other ones. That's my job done really. I'm going to go home now. Warm up. Well, thank you very much for watching. That is the week that I've had here. So it's been quite interesting sort of finding one thing every day to record, sort of part therapy, part coping mechanism. Speaking of coping mechanisms. Yeah, if you enjoyed it, do please subscribe. I'm going to try and get these out regularly every Tuesday afternoon, like I say. And in the meantime, I will see you over on Instagram. Bye.